What's up, everyone? So it's Wednesday, almost lunchtime, which means it's time to go to Sand Slab and get lunch with my friends. And today, since I'm taking this Porsche Cayenne GTS, I thought I would make a video about why, if you're buying a Porsche, whether you're spec'ing it new or picking up one secondhand, you really need to double and then triple check the build sheet. I've been burned more than once by failing to do that properly, and the issue that I ran into with this car really just took the cake with how silly it was. So let me start to head out, and while I go, I will explain some of the things that I've run into. Alright, so the first thing, having owned, I think this is my third Porsche now. The first one was a 996 911 C2 Cabriolet, and that one was actually pretty good. It was my first foray into Porsche, and I honestly did not know the cars from Adam, so really, you know, whatever I got, I was happy with. But it actually put me in a position where when I didn't know what I was doing the second time around, I ended up making I don't want to call it a big mistake, but a costly mistake. So when I sold the 996, I bought a 997 .2 2009 C2S Cabriolet again, and I didn't realize it at the time. See, one of the things with Porsche is they're not very deliberate in their option packages. So the car that I had an MSRP of $117,000. It had a full leather interior, meaning the dashboard, the door trim, everything. So you would think that a car like that would just have certain options that are useful, or you'd expect out of a car, a sports car of that caliber. So the first thing I noticed was the seat heaters. In the 996, I had seat heaters, and they worked amazing. And when you're driving top down, middle of the night, 60, 50 degrees out, but you have the seat heaters, it actually warms your core, and it makes the driving experience just very pleasant, enjoyable. When I found out that the 997 didn't have it, it just completely sucked. I mean, not having seat heaters when you're used to that, when you've kind of grown accustomed to that enjoyable driving experience, and then now it's 50 degrees out, top down, and your AC is just blowing onto your clothes but not really keeping you warm, that's quite a bit of a letdown. So I actually went to great lengths to find aftermarket sports seats and retrofit them into my car to get the seat heating function back. Beyond that, the 997 did not have the sports chrono package, and you know, I knew that meant that I didn't have basically this silly clock on my dash, but I didn't fully appreciate what it meant in terms of the driving modes that are available to you. And by not having the sport chrono package, I did not have sport or sport plus mode, and the default mode for driving that's delivered in the car standard is just god awful. You can be cruising 35 miles an hour, and I swear it goes all the way to 7th, or I don't know if it had 8th gear, 7th gear, overdrive basically. It's just early shifting, you know, between 1,000 and 2,000 RPMs, just running all the way up the gears. In a sports car, it's terrible. It's great if you're trying to save gas, but if that's the only option available to you short of manually shifting, it's not a good look. So I actually spent $1,600 in that case to have the aftermarket button panel and Sport Plus modes installed at a local dealer, and it completely changed the driving dynamic of the car. Now, I do think actually it missing that option was one of the reasons I was able to get the car at the price that I got it at. I think a lot of people actually knew what they were doing and passed on the car because of that issue. But it would have been better if I would have known going in, eyes wide open, you know, this is something that I want and something that I should look for. So, on to this Porsche Cayenne GTS. It's a 2013. It had an MSRP of $97,000. It has, you know, sport seats, Alcantara trim. It's got, I believe it has nav. I don't really use it, but yeah, it has navigation with the maps. It has the air suspension, which is actually really, really awesome. It's kind of funny, you know, in a Porsche, everybody thinks about the sportiness of it, and it has great driving dynamics, but I've come to just expect that out of Porsche. So the funnest thing for me is actually slapping this into comfort mode and just cruising, and it's just like it's riding on a cloud. So, you know, nice and quiet, comfortable. It's honestly my favorite thing about this car. So, you know, this car, it even has the electric rear shades. And so you would just think $97,000, electric rear shades, it's got to be spec'd in a reasonable fashion. And it was 2 or 3 days after I bought the car and was driving it around that I noticed this. And I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of blocked by the radar detector. Maybe if I can get around the corner here. It is a manual rear view mirror. It is not auto dimming. I was just freaking floored. Like, I could not believe it. I think I shouted no with my wife in the car when I found out. I mean, pissed? I don't know if that's the right word. Flabbergasted. It's just silly. How is a car spec'd to $97,000 with freaking rear shades and it doesn't have an auto dimming rear view mirror? I don't know. And obviously if it doesn't have an auto dimming rear view mirror, it also doesn't have auto dimming side view mirrors. I have a 2011 Audi Q5 that has all of these things that came with the car, and I wasn't expecting any of it. So I guess I just came to expect that, you know, a Porsche spec to $97,000 with all of this is just gonna have that. I took it for granted, and boy was I wrong. And now that I'd like to actually retrofit this sort of feature in, you know, don't quote me on this, but it appears that Porsche has gone basically to a bus system for communication with all of their modules. So it's not as simple as just wiring in power, ground, on, off. Everything I've read, basically, it can't be done with factory parts. You're basically SOL. So, you know, lesson learned. I don't know for sure that I would have passed on this car off of that issue alone. I really do love it. I enjoy driving it. It's become my go-to for going to Stance Lab on Wednesday for lunch, but I sure would have wished that I recognized it before I purchased the car and drove off the lot. Relatable, yes or no? I don't know. I think I'm gonna actually go to Stance Lab and ask some of my buddies with no context, no warning, if they've run into any of these issues, and see if it's not just me that's had bad luck with Porsche build sheets. All right, so I'm here at Stance Lab. I'm with the other half of Icy Hot Stunnas, Dennis, and I'm gonna hit him with this question. cold, so he has no idea what to expect here. So, all right, the video I'm making is basically about how you can screw up a Porsche build sheet, and how basically the Porsche Cayenne I just bought had a $97,000 MSRP, and then 2 days later I found out it did not have the auto dimming rear view mirror or side mirrors.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, how is this even possible? So, Cold, do you have any basically build stories like that for Porsche where it's just like absurd?
All right, so it's all personal preference, all subjective, but like 997s are one of my favorite modern Porsches, if you will, right? Just, and I think that would speak to a lot of people. If anybody knows anything about Porsche, the 997 interior from the 996 looks like an American Ford or something like that on the interior. So that's my pet peeve there. On the 997, for me, the must-have options: full leather, at least the adaptive seats, those two, and a circle steering wheel. Forget that multifunctional steering wheel. Like, that's just, those three things are the must-haves. And I can't tell you how many GT3 RSs I've seen, or even worse, turbos I've seen, $150,000 MSRP, and then you sit in, they have regular seats, and worst case is you see vinyl because it's not full leather. Like that, those are just the absolute worst.
Okay, so any specific stories where you learn this lesson the hard way yourself? You experienced something where you just realized you totally left something out, or?
Yeah, it's one of those things where you get into it in cars. Cars are very emotional, right? So you want a car, it's like going into the dealership. You know how like people talk about, you walk into a dealership, they set that trap so it triggers all of the emotional triggers to make you purchase now? I think any Porsche owner buying their first or second, or just a car that they want, we all go through the same thing, especially when it's this close. So before I knew that those were my number 3 requirements, I bought a Carrera S, I bought a GT3, and then I bought another Carrera S, not even knowing full leather existed. And then once I knew, it was like, crap, I have to get rid of these cars. Like, I can't even go inside and stare at the interior is what you stare at the most. And I'm like, I just can't do it. And then as I got more pickier, as you know, with my 991.2 RS, I paid $8,500 just to have black stitching. And I'm like, something I still don't understand with Porsche, that platinum silver stitching that they put in the car, it's like the worst. Like they just need to get rid of that and either make it white, because that's a nice contrast and it'll go with any exterior color, or black. But the fact that I have to pay $8,000 to get black stitching but it's worth every penny. Highly recommend anybody do it.
All right, so his stories are a little bit more, I think, fanciful than mine, but yeah. I think it's a common experience. So we'll see if we can hit up the shop owner next and see if he has any good stories to tell.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dennis.
Yep.
All right, I'm back again with a couple more guests. So I've got Ricky, the resident chef, Aaron, the owner of Impressive Wrap, and Wilson, the owner of Stance Lab. And so here's my question, and no pressure, and the sample size is useful regardless of if you got an answer or not. So I already talked to Dennis, and the video that I'm making is basically about how Porsche build sheets, you really need to double and triple check them because they're nonsensical. Like, they don't tier their options in ways where it's like, I'll pick this package, I'll pick that package, it all makes sense. I bought that Porsche Cayenne, $97,000 MSRP, and it doesn't have a freaking auto-dimming rear view mirror. It has rear view shades, it has the air suspension, it has the panorama roof, and it does not have an auto-dimming rear view mirror. And I looked it up, and it was a $420 option. I guarantee you, whoever spec'd that car just forgot to check a box. So do any of you have either any direct experience or maybe customer stories of Porsche build sheets gone wrong?
I don't know about Porsche build sheets gone wrong, but if you decide to build a Porsche, expect to spend a ton of time clicking options. I mean, you can go through seat stitches, dashboard stitches. There's like 4 or 5 different interior options in just color, not material. And then when you go to pick something like heated seats, oh, well, now this option isn't available because now you want sport carpets. And then it completely disregards the last 30 minutes of options you can choose.
That is true. That is true. It's like, why not just package them together, right? They nitpick everything out so that you have to pay for it, and people will pay for it, but make it more simple.
Yeah, like build in some error checking so that you don't accidentally leave a critical option out of, you know, a car that for all intents and purposes, even the cheapest Porsche these days are running like 6 figures, right? It's like build some engineering into the specification process. Yeah.
I don't know if this will make any sense, but I bought a Mercedes and top of the line with who would get a solar panel on a Mercedes E55 AMG, but it has halogen lamps. Why can't I get my HIDs with that? Why? It's the same exact thing like what you said.
Oh, that's weird.
Right? It's a top of the line car. Why won't you have the top of the line stuff?
Right.
Mercedes is doing that now too. I was trying to build a CLS 53 the other day, and I clicked sport seats, massage functions, heated package. But if I want ventilated seats, MBTEX. That's it. If you want ventilated seats, it's bottom of the barrel, like fake leather. That's all you can get.
Huh.
And that's messed up because. And that's messed up because, like again, before it was all packaged, click a button, dude, that's all I want. And they'll even throw in extra stuff that you don't want.
That's what I'm used to.
Exactly.
Yeah, to get what you want, you get extra stuff and you pay more, not something that you critically need is just mysteriously missing. Yeah.
You know? But I guess because they, like again, Porsche is doing so well with their system that Mercedes is jumping into that as well too. You know,
if you want like carbon package steering wheel. Oh, sorry, now you don't get heated steering wheel function. You don't get driver assistance package. You don't get this and that. It's like I went through the list and added those on individually, and then at the end when I choose if I want my interior trim as carbon, oh, sorry, you know, you just wasted 45 minutes of your life. You couldn't have told me that earlier. Now I gotta go back and then click everything. Oh, what if I do this? Can I still?
So how about you, Ricky? Was your 9912 spec perfectly?
I went in with the awareness to not go overboard with the option list.
Okay.
Get things that I really didn't need, but it would be nice to have. So throughout the process, I was clicking options that I thought, okay, I would enjoy this. But then you come across other options on that list. That'd be nice to have, but you gotta maintain a little self-control.
So after you got the car and used it for a bit, was there anything glaring that you wish you would have checked or wish you hadn't?
Not really. I think it was pretty much what I.
Oh, that's good. That's a good data point.
Stay with it, yeah.
You're like, basically, no, Ryan, I'm not an idiot like you. I did this correctly. All right. Well, thank you guys for your time. Good data points. I think Dennis kind of confirmed that I'm not alone here. But I mean, I know you guys are more of a Mercedes house, so you probably have a lot more familiarity with that sort of thing. And it sounds like Porsche as a manufacturer is also not alone in creating problems like this. So thanks, you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yep. All right. Bye.